this video series. I am Brian Pruitt, the author of the book, Wounded Lions. Your loudest roar comes from your deepest wounds. And we're going to be doing a set of video series of people who have come and who've overcome incredible obstacles in order to do something great in this life. They are people who are just like me and people just like you. They have been wounded in life, but they have decided that they are going to roar in this life as well. They are a reminder that our deepest wounds often produces our loudest roars in this lifetime. And it's my honor today to talk with a gentleman that I've known since I was 18 years of age, and maybe a little sooner, but I'm certain around 18 years of age. I know that because I started dating his daughter around that time, and I walked into his living room and met a giant of a man by the name of Dr. Eugene Seals. Not only was he a tall man in stature, he was just as big a person on the inside as he was on the outside. I love him dearly. He is a man of character and integrity. He lives what he preaches. And he too is a wounded lion that has learned to roar. And I think it's very important that we all get an opportunity to meet the wounded lions that live amongst us, because there is so much to be learned from them. So if you would, please help me welcome Dr. Eugene Seals to the Wounded Lion video series. So nice to have you with us, Dr. Seals.
My pleasure.
I don't know if to call you Dr. Seals, father-in-law, daddy. Yeah, if I say that, I'm going to hop in your lap. But I've always called you Doc out of respect.
Hey, be yourself. Yeah, so let's keep this so I can be myself too. That's right.
I asked you to do this video series with us, and you were the first person who came to my mind because I know your story, okay? And I find your story very fascinating. You are known in the Saginaw community as Dr. Seals or Pastor Seals. You are a doctor and a pastor. You have had a great impact on people throughout the Great Lakes Bay region, and specifically young men as well throughout this region here. And but that's your story really shouldn't be. It's likely that you would not be the roaring lion that you are now. It's possible that could have not happened. Can you tell us a little bit about your story? This is a gentleman who, for the most part, as a kid, you were told that you were going to be a garbage man. And not that there's anything wrong with being a garbage man, because they get paid well.
Yes,
right?
They do.
But it was not what you felt like you were called to be. I don't care what they called you. If it didn't line up with what God told you, it doesn't matter, right?
Amen.
So tell us a little bit about what was happening in your life as a child. We want to go step by step here and hear about what was happening in your life as a child. What was going on there?
I was about 4 years old, I believe it was, when I had this dream.
Okay.
And the dream was kind of puzzling to me because I had never indicated to anyone that I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
At that point, and then at that point, I remember having this dream about becoming a doctor.
At 4 years old.
At 4 years old.
So at 4 years old, there's this passion, this desire, this purpose, so to speak, that's already tugging at you as a child.
Well, actually, at that point in time, I had very little tugging at me.
Yeah.
However, after having that dream, then the tugging began, and from that moment on, I was determined to be a doctor. I knew not what it would require, but I just felt I'd been led by God to become a doctor.
Awesome. So what began to happen from that point? You're 4 years old, you have this dream, and from that dream you get this desire to become a doctor. You wake up from this dream and you spend what happens at this point in your life that becomes a challenge to you as you pursue this?
Well, I indicated my dream to my siblings. Mm-hmm. All of which who were somewhat They didn't know, they weren't really fired up about me.
They didn't like your dream?
No, they
sound like a Joseph story.
Well, not that bad, but it was something that, you know, I really was coming out ahead of everyone else talking about I want to be a doctor, and no one in my family had really released what they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever made it plain, whatever, because I don't think they were sure. We were just trying to survive, you know?
But you were verbalizing.
I was verbalizing it, and I was telling them not only did I want to be a doctor, I was going to become a doctor, because God showed me in this dream that I was going to become a doctor. And
you were a kid when this
I was 4 years old, and my siblings, all of them were older than I, except for my youngest brother.
Yeah.
And they hadn't had come to a realization of what they wanted to be. So for me, running around talking about I'm gonna be, not that I wanted to be, I'm gonna be a doctor. And it kind of caught them off guard. And most of the time they told me, I really wasn't smart enough to be a doctor. And as I got older, it was more like, who's gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
And I had no idea what a doctor even would do at that time, because I didn't know any doctors. I just said I'm going to become one.
So what did your parents think about this? At this time, you're 4, you've had this dream, you have now started verbalizing it, and what you're finding out is maybe not everybody around you agrees with you or sees this in you or believes that you can become this. And sometimes it's even tougher when it's people who are around you, right?
Yes.
So what's mom and dad saying? We hear about what brothers and sisters are saying. What is your mom and dad saying about what they're hearing their son say? This young lion is already trying to roar because in his mind he sees something that nobody else sees.
Now remember, like I said, my mother hadn't finished high school and my father hadn't finished junior high school, and they, were trying to not allow me to overstep my bounds here. They're saying it's a lot to becoming a doctor, and they couldn't help me much because they hadn't not gone through any experience or even knew that much about what becoming a doctor would entail.
Yeah.
And not having finished their education, they kind of thought I was overdoing it.
Yeah, who's gonna do this homework?
Yeah, that's right.
Who's gonna do this homework with you? I ain't doing this homework with you. The beauty of it, Dr. Seals, is that we got lions all around us, and young people who are coming up who are roaring, and it seems like what was happening in your life, like it happens in many people's lives, is life comes and it just starts hitting, the challenges, the obstacles, and it tries to literally beat the roar out of you.
Yes.
It tries to silence your lion and say that you'll never become what you dreamt of when you were a child. And there was a name that they began to call you just in a joking way, but it was also probably also challenging your dream. What was it?
Well, we had this garbage man who actually made quite a business for himself. So.
Yeah, they didn't even know that.
No, I don't think so. He had garbage trucks and drivers, and he had made quite a business out of this. And so they would shorten the name. I don't really want to say it a whole lot, but they shortened the name to just Pon.
Yeah.
And so they would call me Pon, short for this garbage man in our neighborhood who would pick up the garbage.
Yeah.
And I would get somewhat upset about that when they called me that, and I would kind of challenge them. They were bigger than I was, older too, and so I, having a physical confrontation with them wasn't to my advantage. Yeah. However, sometimes I get bold enough to kind of challenge them physically if they, kept challenging me about it. Yeah. So, but they would call me that name, nickname me Pon.
Yeah. Which had to do with you were going to go up and be a garbage man.
Yes.
And not a doctor.
That's right.
So, I think people out there need to know too that you're a lion or a lioness. God has placed a dream inside of you. He gave birth to you. You are born to roar, and that there will be obstacles and there will be challenges and there will be people who will try to silence your roar, who will try to call you something that God has not, who will try to get you to give up on a dream that God himself has put inside of you. And like Dr. Seals, it's important that you continue to roar. You do not allow the wounds to steal the roar that is supposed to come from your mouth. Doc, you grow up, you marry this beautiful woman that you met in junior high school. Right?
Yes, she was like 14 years old and I was like 15, and so we, our parents didn't encourage it a lot. However, I told her about my dream, and she told me, "Oh, that's good, and I'll support you in that."
Wow, that's cool.
And I thought it was cool. Matter of fact, I was getting kind of around 15. I was coming to the realization that maybe my family members, my brothers and sisters, and my parents were right about this thing,
Yeah.
And when she started, encouraging me on, I got the feeling. I roared even louder again,
Awesome.
And so we were young sweethearts, and but we had made a plan to go to University of Michigan, and where I was going to go to medical school and become a doctor. And she said, "Well, I'll go there with you." And although she had a better grade point average than I did in high school, there were some mix-ups, and she really didn't get into the University of Michigan right away. She came the following year after my freshman year, and we kind of grew closer together and actually got married while we were at the University of Michigan.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. That's why you guys go back that way.
That's why we go back every year
you go back to that
in Auburn, where we ate our honeymoon dinner.
Okay, awesome. Because I didn't know, I didn't put two and two together. I just know every year you guys went back that way. And that's the reason why. So the blessing of that is you had come from being around a bunch of people who didn't necessarily believe in you, almost to the point where it started causing you to believe, maybe I'm not supposed to be a doctor. And then you meet this young lady who becomes your wife, who is gun-ho and all for supporting you and roaring and doing what you felt like you were called to do, to the point where she says, "I'm coming to assist you."
Amen.
And I think people out there need to know that whatever it is that you're supposed to be roaring about in this life, know that you might have the wrong people around you. You may have to move some people, but also know that God's going to send the right people to your lion pride. Your lion pride is those people you have around you. They will go where you go. They will make sure that you stay encouraged. They will make sure that you stay focused, and they won't let you quit. They won't let you give up. So I come into the picture not too far after you graduate. So tell us about the process. Now you become a doctor. You went through something. You had to leave your family. Your wife is your wife, and 8 children at this point in time, right? And you have to leave your family, and everybody thinks you're crazy, but you know that you're called to roar in this particular occupation. And by now you've got some wounds, you've got some scars, but you keep moving. Tell us about what happens here. You're a teacher.
Yeah, well, I graduated from the University of Michigan, but not with grades high enough to get me into medical school, especially at the University of Michigan. Yeah. So I applied to all of the medical schools in the Michigan area, and I did not get in any of them. Yeah. And so I went on to graduate school at University of Michigan, where I got my master's degree in high school supervision and administration, and was going to come back to Saginaw and teach school. Actually, I did, but my significant other, my wife at that time even, still encouraged me on. Yeah. And so I went on and kept applying. I think I went to after graduating from the University of Michigan and getting my master's degree, I went to Wayne State, and I was told there at Wayne State, if I improve my GPA, that Wayne State might look at me as a possible candidate for medical school. Yeah. And so I went to Wayne State for a year, and they suggested some courses that I should take, and I did. I took them, and I think I got all A's and a B plus in those courses. And so Wayne State had mentioned that, okay, that's pretty good, but they want to see me do it for another year.
Yeah.
But Michigan State saw my grades and they said, hey, if you did that at Wayne, come over and apply to our medical school, and we probably we might have a seat for you there. So I did. There's a longer story to that, but I don't want to get too involved in it. And I applied and got in at College of Human Medicine at Michigan State.
That is awesome. So you apply, you get in. What are you going to do? You got a wife and 8 kids. So can we all come? Can we all go with you, Daddy? Or what happens at this point?
What happened was I actually left home and went down to, was going to go down to Michigan State on my own, but at Michigan State they told me to bring my whole family. So I did. And we all moved to Lansing, or actually the Lansing area. My children went to, what's the name of the school you went to?
Grand Ledge.
Grand Ledge. And my wife got a new job in Lansing at the state of Michigan, and we all went down there where I stayed for a couple of years going through medical school. And
was that a tough time? You've been married, you got 8 kids living in Lansing. Really, you've all been pulled away from your family in Saginaw.
That's right.
And you guys have got to be facing some incredible challenges. You're lying, roaring, trying to accomplish this dream. But there's got to be some moments in the midst of this where you got to be going, man, what am I doing? I got 8 kids. You got people who probably ask you, what are you doing? Right?
Well, actually, the people at the church were telling me that, you've gone through your chance of being a doctor. Now you need to sit down and make funds so your children can go on to school.
Wow.
and be what they want to be.
So they were telling you, it's not your turn.
That's right. I missed my chance.
You missed your chance.
And
you need to go and make some money and let your kids be what they're becoming. But you still felt this lion.
Well, even more so because I felt by me becoming what I always wanted to become, that they too could become. That would be a representative, not a representative. What's the word I want?
I don't know, but I love what you just said.
Well,
I can tell you were a representative, an ambassador for what they could be. You were a role model for what they could be.
And like I said, what I wanted to say.
That's awesome.
And I thought I could do more for them by becoming a doctor and proving that your dreams can come true if you work hard enough. And I worked hard.
So a beautiful thing happens. I wasn't there. I didn't see this, but I hear it. I see the visual of it in my mind. You graduate, and there was like this this day where you, your family, and your wife, and all 8 of your kids walk across the stage together. And I heard it was a pretty cool moment. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there at the graduation, the doctors, they hood you. Mm-hmm. And they were calling the people out to be hooded. Yeah. And my entire family was there. My kids, of course, my wife. And my wife and I told her to come out, and with me as I was hooded. Yeah. And all the kids was there. I said, well, you guys want to come out too? And actually, they said no. Was that right?
Yeah, I can see them doing that.
They didn't want to come out. I said, look, I got to go out and get hooded now.
At least 4 of the 8 said
well, whatever. And so I went out. Of course, my wife said, I don't know what she said to you guys as I left.
She probably said, we all earned this.
Yeah, there you go.
Stage, right?
And so as I walked out of that, they had it filmed and they showed it on television in Saginaw here. But as I walked out, Joyce followed along behind me. Yeah. And then our oldest daughter followed along behind her. Our next oldest daughter followed behind her. And then the 2 twins followed behind her. Yeah. And then the next oldest daughter followed behind her. And then finally my son followed out. Yeah. And my next daughter. And then my son. And then our youngest daughter, who was very young at the time, comes twaddling out behind her, and they captured it on television. That was the cutest little thing I ever seen.
And I tell you what, I can hear the pride you have in that moment.
It was tremendous. It was great. I really enjoyed that. That culminated the fact that God did what he showed me he was going to do.
Excellent, excellent. You know, I want people to hear what you just said, because I think it's so important. You followed your dream even though everybody was telling you not to.
Amen.
You continue to roar even though everybody tried to silence you. And there's a difference between a circus lion and a zoo lion. There's a zoo lion and a lion, a king of the jungle.
Yes.
Okay? The difference is one of them is for entertainment. You didn't want to be a lion who entertained people.
That's right.
You wanted to be the king of the jungle and the occupation that God had called you to. One is silent. One roars, right? One is in a cage by itself. The other one has a lion pride with it.
Amen.
And what you drew a picture of is you drew a picture of your lion pride. You guys lived it together. You faced the challenges together. You faced the obstacles together. And then in that one moment, you roared on the stage together. Your lion pride came behind you. I want you all out there who are watching to gather the pieces and parts of this incredible man's story and find encouragement and hope, because you too might be going through some things, and you might need a lion pride around you to remind you that you need to keep roaring. Don't you allow this life to silence you. That what God has placed in your heart, it is worth fighting for. Before we end here, Doc, I want to talk to you about, you started it already. Not only did your children follow you physically on a stage, child by child, across that stage to celebrate the moment with you, since then, your children and family members, nieces, nephews, son, daughters, different family members, you have opened a door that I don't think you know how wide.
That's right.
I don't think you're a humble man. I know this about you. But I don't think you know what you've done in regards to the impact, the legacy, and the doorway you opened for others who said, I'm next, I'm following behind Dr. Seals, I'm gonna go now, I'm gonna go in this occupation, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go in the medical field, I'm gonna become a lawyer, I'm gonna come do this, I'm gonna do that. That is because this family has seen what you did.
Praise God.
You raised a standard. The guy they called the garbage boy, who became the doctor, opened up a door for the lion pride to run into a large jungle and not feel like they're just there, but to go be the lions and lioness that God had called them to be. Tell us about what that means to you as we begin to close. What does it mean to you to know that there are multiple people in your family who in some fashion or form are in the medical field or are in different professions, but aspire to roar greatly in those professions, okay? And you're the person in many ways who opened that door. Talk to us about that. You may not know that.
Well, and I don't know if I'm going to accept that. I think God is the person who really opened up, because after I got my even before I got my degree, my mother knew I had gone on to University of Michigan and stuff, and she went back to school and got her a master's degree in English, and she taught adult ed.
Wow. So your mother, who had the 8th grade education?
No, the 11th grade education.
The 11th grade education, went back years later.
That's right.
And got a master's
degree in English, and she taught English at one of those colleges. You remember? Delta.
Wow.
Delta College.
So that spoke loudly to you too.
Oh, that did. That also it continued to inspire me.
Yeah.
But not only that was the fact that all 8 of my children have college degrees. A whole lot. I have 28 grandkids and 2 great grandkids.
Yeah. And you have nephews and nieces.
And nephews and nieces who are all in college and getting their degrees.
And going into some medical, some into other areas, but all, when you talk to them, and I have talked to a number of them over the years, all come back and say, if Dr. Seals can do what he did, then I can do it. If my granddad can do what he did, if my great-granddad can do what he did, if my uncle can do what he did, they say, then I can do it. Yeah. And that's the power of a wounded lion.
Praise
for
God.
the most part, deciding that his or hers loudest roar is going to come from their deepest wounds.
Amen.
And so here we are. I want to end this thing. And here's, Doc, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
And I get the privilege of continuing talking to him. You don't. So, so that's that. I want to encourage you today. Don't give up. Don't quit. We've all been through something in this life, but anything worth having is worth fighting for. Don't allow this world to silence your roar. Don't allow this world to tame you and to feed you what they want to feed you so that you lose your instinct to hunt after your dreams. Keep fighting, keep going, and remember that your loudest roar comes from your deepest wound. Want to hear more about what we're discussing here today and the principles that we're talking about? It's found in my new book, Wounded Lions, Your Loudest Roar Comes from Your Deepest Wounds. You can get the copy of this at PruittMotivational.com, powerdad.org, or Amazon. You can get it as well too, okay? And we also have it in ebook formats. All right, God bless you and keep on